I've been through different cycles of of thoughts with this. It wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be at all. Hang on one second. So I initially was super optimistic because I was after surgery. I just figured it was going to be maybe 3-4 days worth of pain. And then I'd be kind of back into it. I've had 23 surgeries, so it's not like it's my first rodeo going through a surgery. This is my 24th surgery, actually. But I didn't realize how different this was when compared to every other surgery I had. This was a serious traumatic thing that happened to my leg, and the recovery is going to be way longer and harder than I've ever experienced. And so I had to go through that time. I had to go through a tough time. I went through a tough time about the 4 or 5 day mark post surgery because it started going the other way. It started becoming more painful as opposed to getting better. And it was just so excruciating, man. Like to just get up, for me to crutch my way to the bathroom, I would talk myself into it. Like I just have to amp myself up and like mentally prepare myself to be mentally tough just to get to the bathroom, because the amount of pain that created when I got up from having my leg up above my heart to where I was putting that leg down, not actually putting weight on it, but just getting on crutches and going to the bathroom, was so bad, man. The pooling of blood in my shin and my foot was just so terrible. I went from actually feeling pretty good with the anesthesia the first few days, and as long as I wasn't getting up to go to the bathroom, to where I was literally sleeping all day long. Only time I was moving really was to go to the bathroom. And those moments were just terrible. Literally like crying in pain. And I just didn't expect that. I always felt like I was pretty good with pain. And a lot of negative thoughts started creeping into my head because I've had some things gone wrong before, and even in the public eye, but I don't think a lot of people even realize what went down. So when I fought Kelvin Gastelum, so during this crazy time period where I'm trying to, get through the pain and I'm just sleeping all day, I did speak to the doctor and I started asking him some questions, some hard questions, because things didn't seem right to me. And so when I fought Kelvin Gastelum, I hit him with like a left hook when he was coming in, a check left hook, and I won that fight. But after that fight, I was out for over a year because I broke my thumb on his head and then I tore a ligament. So they went in and fixed the ligament like pretty much a few days after the fight, and they thought the surgery went well. But about 8 weeks to 10 weeks later, they ended up realizing that the bone, because it was such a concussive hit that I hit him with. Mason, quiet. It was such a concussive hit. There's Marie sneaking through a Colton. It was such a concussive hit that I hit him with. The blood supply to the bone never came back. You just have to be quiet. Okay, you sue me? Bone never came back. So my bone was just dying. So there was nothing they could do at that point. They had to go in and take out everything they did with surgery, take out that bone that was dying and they didn't have the blood supply in it anymore, and take my hip bone out, put it in there, fuse the joint. And that's what I have here. That's why my thumb only really moves like this, because they fused this whole joint down here with a plate and my hip bone. Hang on. So obviously now this was a serious concussive blow that I just hit, that I hit Uriah Hole with, and my leg shattered in two. And so when I started feeling this pain, I remember feeling a crazy pain when I was having when I was recovering my hand surgery and it wasn't going well. And so I was asking the doctor, like, is there a chance the blood supply doesn't come back to the bone? Like, then what happens? And he actually said, yeah, unfortunately, the tibia bone has the lowest percentage of taking and healing when you compare it to other bones. So that's not a good thing. But it's still a low percentage, it's about 5% that it doesn't take. But I'm thinking, all right, if it already happened to me once in my hand, am I even more of a candidate of my blood not coming back to a bone? And there's no telling, which honestly, that would mean what he straight up told me. Most people elect to do amputation and then, prosthetics and all that stuff. So, I do kind of always think of worst case scenarios, even when I was face down on that canvas. And I was trying to search for silver linings, and I was when they were trying to feel my pulse in my foot, I knew what that meant. I remember it all. And I was thinking about, well, all right, I guess, prosthetics have gone a long way. If they have to amputate it, then I'm gonna have to deal with it. And obviously, I was trying to make a silver lining even with that. So I'm prepared for anything. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I'm just telling you, like, some of the thoughts that are going through my mind. That was one negative thing, and one of the things I spoke to the doctor about, and I'm still a little concerned about. Um, the other thing is that my foot still hasn't had complete feeling come back yet. So the bottom of my foot and some of the toes are still like almost like like your foot fell asleep. Um, and there's no telling with nerves how long they take to come back or if they ever come back. So I've had my fair share of nerve damage, and nerves that kind of went bad. I've had 2 neck surgeries, so I've had weakness and numb feeling and tingling and all that stuff. Uh, I've dealt with that for a long time. And then when they took my hip bone out, I've had 2 surgeries where they took my hip bone out and put it into my hands. And the first one, the feeling never came back to my hip. They said it was going to come back, don't worry. And then I still have numbness for like in a large majority of my hip area. My hand still has numbness, by the scar. So sometimes I just know, if it ever comes back, it may never come back. So that's not a good thing because I think I was talking to my surgeon or another doctor. I can't even tell you. This last week has been a blur with pain medication and pain and stuff. But I was talking to somebody and they were saying that for athletes, like the proprioceptors in your foot are super valuable, obviously. And so like I need to get that feeling back in my foot. Like I could move my toes, I could feel that they're there. They're just not as they're not normal. They're still like sleeping or whatever. So I'm hoping that goes back. And I start physical therapy today.